Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai. In our last discourse, we heard about Satravavrata getting cursed by the Vishamitra. We'll go on to chapter 13. King Janamejaya said, O Vedavyasa, I see that at the command of the king, the ministers installed Harishchandra on the royal throne. But how did Satravavrata get rid of his Chandala body? Kindly say. Was it that he bathed in the holy waters of the Ganges and lived in the forest, and when he died was freed of the curse? Or was it that the Guru Vasistha favored him by his grace and freed him of the curse? O best of rishis, I'm extremely eager to hear of the life of the king. Therefore, kindly describe to me in detail this wonderful career. Vedavyasa said, O king, the king became gladdened in his heart to install his son on the throne and began to pass his days in the forest in the meditation of Bhagavati Bhavani. Thus some time passed when Vishamitra, the son of Kasuki, completing his course of tapasya, was on intent returning to his home to see his wife and sons. On coming back to his house, the intelligent Muni found his sons and other members of his family happy and well-conditioned, and he became very glad. And when his wife came to him for his service, asked her, O fair one, how did you spend your time in days of famine? There was nothing whatsoever of the stock of rice in the house. How then did you nourish these boys? Please speak to me. O fair one, I was very busy with my austerities. I could not therefore come to you and see my boys. How then, O beloved, what measures did you resort to for their maintenance? O good and auspicious one, when I heard of the dire famine, I thought then, I have no wealth, so what shall I do if I go there? Thus thinking, I did not come then, O beautiful one. At that time, one day I was very hungry, and being very much tired, I entered into the house of a Chandala with the object of stealing. On entering the house, I found that Chandala sleeping. Then, being extremely distressed with hunger, I entered into the kitchen so that I could find anything there. When the dishes were sought and turned, and when I was going to take cooked dog flesh, I immediately fell into the sight of the Chandala. He said to me very affectionately, Who are you? Why have you entered here at this hour of night? Why are you looking after the dishes? Speak this, O beautiful one. When the Chandala asked me these questions, I was very much pressed by hunger, and I spoke out of my wants in a tremulous voice. O fortunate one, I am an ascetic Brahmin, very much pained by hunger. I have entered your house stealthily, and am looking out for some edibles from your cooking pots. O intelligent one, I am now your guest in the form of a thief. I am now especially very hungry, so I will now eat your cooked meat. Kindly permit me. Hearing these words, the Chandala spoke to me in words authorized by the Sastras. O one of the superior Varna, know this to be the house of a Chandala, so never eat that flesh. The human birth is very rare in this world. Then again, to be born a Divaja is more difficult, and to get Brahmahood again is exceedingly difficult. Are you not aware of this? They ought never to eat the defiled food who desire to attain to heavens owing to karma. The Maharishi Manu has denominated the 7 different stages of life. So, Brahmins, I am now by my actions turned into a Chandala. So, forsaken by all, there is no doubt in this. I am forbidding you so that this fault of Varna Sankara may not suddenly attack you. Vishamitra said, O knower of dharmas, what you are speaking is quite true. Though a Chandala, your intelligence is very clear. Here, I will now speak to you the subtleties of the Dharma in times of danger. O giver of respect, Always and by all means it is advisable to keep up the body. If sin be therefore incurred, one ought to perform penance for its purification when the time of danger is over. But if one commits sin when the time is not one of danger, one gets degraded. Not so in the time of danger. The man that dies out of hunger goes to hell, no doubt. Therefore every man seeking for his welfare must satisfy his hunger. Therefore I intend to steal for preserving my body. O Chandala, see, the sin incurred in stealing during famine, which the pundits have declared, goes to the god of rains until he does pour forth rain. O beloved, just when I spoke these words, the god of rains began to pour rain so desired by all, like that coming out of the elephant's trunk. When the clouds that thus poured forth rains with the glittering of the lightnings, I felt very glad and left the house of the Chandala. O beautiful one, now speak out to me. How did you behave in the famine time, so terrible to all beings? Hearing the above words of the husband, the sweet-speaking lady spoke, hear how I passed my time in these times of famine. O Muni, after you had gone to practice tapasya, the dire famine raged, and my sons, exhausted of hunger, became very anxious for food. I became very anxious to see the sons hungry. I then went out to the forest in quest of wild rice, and I got some fruits. Thus I spent some months by collecting rice growing wildly in the forest. Then in times these also could not be got, and I became again anxious. The rice, too, is now not available, and nothing is obtained also by begging. There are no fruits on the trees, and no roots are found under the earth. The sons were crying in agony of hunger, what to do and where to go. What am I to say now to the hungry boys? Oh my gosh. Thus thinking on various ways, I at last came to the conclusion that I would sell one of my sons to a rich man, and whatever price I could fetch, with that I would preserve the lives of the other sons. Oh dear, thus thinking, I became ready and went out, O fortunate one. Then this boy began to cry aloud and became very distressed, yet I was so shameless that I took the crying boy and got out of my ashram. At that time, one Rajashri, Satravavrata, seeing me very distressed, asked me, O one of good vows, why is this boy weeping? O Muni, I spoke to him, today I am going to sell this boy. The king's heart became overfilled with pity and spoke to me, take back to your ashram this boy. Daily I will supply you with meat for the food of your boys until the Muni returns home. O Muni, the king from that time used to bring with great pity daily the flesh of a deer and boar killed by him in the forest, and he used to tie that to the tree. O beloved, thus I could protect my sons in this fearful ocean of crisis. But that king was cursed by Vasista only for my sake. One day that king did not get any meat in the forest, so he slaughtered the Kamadenu, the cow giving all desires of Vasista, and the Muni became therefore very angry with him. The high-souled Muni, angry on account of the killing of his cow, called the king by the name of Trisanku and made him a Chandala. The prince turned into a Chandala because he came forward to do good to me, so I'm very sorry for his sake. So it is your urgent duty to save the king from his terrible position by any means or by the influence of your powerful tapasya. Hearing these words from his wife, the Muni Kusika consoled her and said, O lotus-eyed one, I will free the king of his curse. You who saved you at the critical moment. What more than this that I promise to you that I will remove his sufferings, whether it be by my earnings or by my tapas. Thus consoling his wife at that moment, Vishamitra, the knower of the highest reality, began to think how he could destroy the pains and miseries of that king. Thus thinking, the Muni went to the king Trisanku, who was staying at that time very humbly in a village of the Chandalas in the garb of a Chandala. Seeing the Muni coming, the king was greatly astonished and instantly threw himself before his feet like a piece of stick. Vishamitra raised the fallen king and consoling him said, O king, you are cursed on my account by the Muni Vasista. I will therefore fulfill your desires. Now speak what I am to do. The king said, with a view to perform a sacrifice, I prayed to Vasista that I would perform a sacrifice. Kindly do this for me, O Muni. Do that sacrifice by which I can go to the heavens in my present body. Vasista became very angry and said, O villain, how can you go and live in the heavens in your human body? I was very anxious to go to the Svarga, heaven. So I again spoke to him, O sinless one, I will then have the excellent sacrifice done by another priest. Hearing this, Vasista cursed me, saying, Be a Chandala. O Muni, thus I have described to you all about my curse. You are the only one able to remove now my grievances. Distressed in pain and agony, the king informed him and became quiet. Vishamitra too thought how he could free him from his curse. Here ends the 13th chapter of the 7th book on the coming of Vishamitra to Satravavrata in the Mahapuranam, Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.